Hello, my name is Daniel Mesco, and this is my role-playing game program that I wrote in C++. And basically what it is it's a game where the individual decides his own fate in the game. So basically it sets you up with a first scenario, and everyone starts at the same scenario, but it gives you three options to choose from on how to play out that scenario and how to solve the problem that they present with you, to you. And depending on which one you choose, you get another set of scenarios, and you basically can fall into this chain of different scenarios, so that each time you use it, it's a different response. Isn't that right?
Okay. So, explain a little bit how many possible scenarios you may end up having. Okay.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so basically you start here. This is the starting point. Let's make ST for start. And then from there you can choose three options.
Okay.
The story is basically that you are trapped in a cave in a mythical world.
Right.
And you have to escape the cave, and you have to try to find out how to escape using the objects around you. So you'll find a plate or a string or a knife or something, so you'll land in one of these three spots, depending on what you choose. And then from there you go to three more from each one. So we already got 9 options there.
Okay.
And then from there, you can go to 2 more. Or maybe it is, I'm not sure, it's either 2 more or 3 more. For the most part, it's 2 more. So you break down even further. And then past these, what ends up happening is some of them will be life and death right here. So what it'll be, like this one might kill you right there. If you choose that one, your character will die. Because that's not like you burn yourself or something like that.
Right.
And then, or you poison yourself. But then this one will go on and have 2 more scenarios as well, or 3 more.
Okay.
And then that guy will have, one that'll break you out free of the cave right there, one that'll kill you, and one that you can go on to another set of scenarios. And then that is where I think it's that far down usually that you'll find one will be the death, and one will be success when you get to that point. But it does that for every single scenario, so you'll have a ton of scenarios at the end that you can end up breaking off into.
So this is fairly involved and entertaining for a couple hours or so, more or less.
Yeah. It'll take you a while to work your way through every single scenario.
Okay.
Which is why here I prototyped them. You can see them all. I've got 3B, 3C, and the way it works is some of them share a scenario. So you might go one way, and it'll say, you'll find a large plate. Like there it says large plate scenario. But if you do it a different way, you'll get to that same large plate in a different way. That's why I put the comments there, so that I'd remember when I was writing the rest of the code that one is a large plate, and I'd like to use that one again.
Okay, now, before you go down in the code, talk to me about the 3 preprocessor directives. Why are you including those 3?
Mm-hmm.
And the variable begin. I noticed that that's a global variable. You have it declared outside any of the methods. Explain to me those 4 lines of code at the very, very beginning of your program, Dan.
Sure. Excuse me. I put include iostream.h. Well, that one's basic. I did apstring.cpp because further down at the beginning, it'll ask you what's your name and where you're from, and then it'll repeat it back to you. Hey, welcome to the game, so-and-so from Miami or whatever. And then windows.h is because I use a sleep function, regularly throughout the code.
Right.
So that it gives you time to read your the options that they present with you, or they present to you. So I'll depending on how long the line is, I may have given the command sleep 5,000. So it'll give you 5 seconds, and it won't move on with the code, so that you can read it, and then it'll move to the next line, and it'll keep going down.
So what you're saying is that sleep is a function that takes in one parameter, and that parameter is an integer which is expressed in terms of milliseconds.
Yeah.
5,000 milliseconds.
It's 5 seconds.
Actually 5 seconds. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Is there anything else from Windows.h that you use?
No, just sleep.
Okay.
And then begin, I declared as a variable at the beginning because I used it down in main somewhere, I believe. No, you know what I did? Yeah, at the beginning of main, what I used is I said, welcome to the RPG game, or whatever I called it, and I said, if you'd like to play, click 1. So that was the, the first question it asks you is, do you like to play? If so, click 1.
Right.
And if not, it'll end the code.
Is it important for that variable to be a global variable?
No, you could. I could have done it under main, but when I was thinking about it, I thought about it as I was establishing the include file. So I figured I'd put it in when I remembered, so I didn't forget later.
Okay.
So I'll go down to main then.
Yes.
Okay, where is it? Here it is. So at the beginning, main is pretty short for the most part because it's just sending you to your first few preliminary scenarios, and then from each one of those, it sends you to another function. But it starts with, welcome to Cavescape, press 1 to begin a new game, and there's the variable begin. And then I put a line of space there because I like to keep things very nice and organized, so I'll often have a line of space between every everything it tells you.
Okay.
And then, if you say yes, then it'll send you to prelim info, which is an AP string, a function that I created that gets your name and your where you live, and then it takes in back name and location as variables from that function.
Okay.
And if not, then if you didn't click 1, you didn't click to begin, it'll just say bye, and then it'll end.
Okay.
And then here it starts with the beginning. You and Paul McRib is the name of the character.
Uh-huh.
Set out in Cavetopia, which is the world I created, and then press 1 to continue, and then keep on is just just to establish that you pressed something. So it doesn't matter. It doesn't necessarily have to be 1 as long as you pressed an integer, actually, rather, because it's an integer. Then it'll keep on moving, just so that it could wait for you to respond before it moves on, so it's not jumping ahead of you. And then here's the first sleep function for 7,000. So I gave you 7 seconds to read it. And then then it sends you to cave collapse. So this is where you find the cave, and then cave collapse is the first scenario you get sent to, which basically is just where I'll go there actually now. It's basically just the cave collapses, and it establishes the the preliminary background information about why you're there and what it is. Can't find it here because I've got a lot of these scenarios, but it basically just says the cave collapsed. And you're left alone without Paul.
Do Control F. See if that
Control
helps.
F. Cave collapse.
And then type, there you go.
There's
And then maybe do a mute. If that isn't the one, do find next.
Find next. There it is.
There you go.
So yeah, Paul McRib says, "Be careful as we enter the cave. There are large rocks on the walls," which kind of sets up the story for what's going to happen. You can tell by then. And then as you enter, you trip on a rock. It shakes the floor. The rocks fall down. The two of you are separated. So at that point, you go to from there. It'll send you back to main, and then that sends you to scenario start, which is where everybody starts. Scenario start is you confused. You crawl in darkness over to the wall, and then this is where it says use the objects to aid in your escape. So this is where you find the first scenario. And here it says you see a bag of French fries, flint, and a large rock. And then it says, press the number that corresponds to the object. So here you get the 3 options. And if you choose 1, then it sends you to scenario 1. If you choose 2, to 2. 3 sends you to scenario 3. And if not, then it'll just start it over. If you didn't click one of the options, it starts you back over at scenario start. And it does that for all the scenarios. It'll start you back over at the one that you were on if you didn't type a number that's valid. And then scenario 1 starts here. So this is if you have chosen the bag of French fries. And from there you eat the food. So it gives you a little bit of a plot line twist and everything. And what you choose at one point will affect you later on. Like if you choose not to eat for the first 2 scenarios, you might have hunger become an issue in the later scenarios. Or if you choose to eat and you just chose, throwing caution to the wind to eat something dirty on the floor, it might kill you. So they're based on what you chose before. So you won't have a food option again if you chose a bag of French fries.
Right.
You'll never have to, you'll never find a scenario again that'll offer you food, because you already got food. But you may have one that says drink. Whereas if you had chosen the flint and you light a fire with it, you might have food come later, but you won't have light come as an issue later, or warmth. However, as someone who chose the French fries, that might become an issue later. So from there you have a bottle of dirty water, the hammer, and I did a little /n here to indent it down a line. Bottle of dirty water, a hammer, and a coat. And then those will skip down. Now this is scenario 2. So this is the flint. You get a bottle of seemingly clean water, a knife, a drill, and a lot of the times it'll be deceptive. Like the bottle of seemingly clean water, or the basket of berries, I had one further down, won't actually be poisonous, but something you think wouldn't be poisonous is poisonous. So you won't have success the first time you play the game. You'll have to play it a few times so you can learn what works and what doesn't.
Right.
And then the large plate and the string. The string is actually leads to a trap door, which lets you escape. But the large plate uncovers a pit of lava, which you fall in and die. And the torn scarf is warmth, so you can sleep through the night. You won't be cold. Doesn't become a problem. And there's the hammer, breaking over. So this is the first scenario down here that gives you success. So basically, you follow these convoluted paths down to either finish success or finish fail are the two scenarios options. So finish success, this is where the user is sent if he chooses an option that leads to escape. So here Paul says A, and you say Paul, and congratulations, you managed to escape. And then here I did indenting a line and tabbing out each letter, you win. So it just kind of slides across the screen in a kind of funny way. But and that's if you won. And then it says the end, and then after the end it sends you back to main. And back at main it'll say if you'd like to play again, press 1. So you can play again. And then finish fail is if you die, and it just says dead. And then spaces a couple lines, and then says start again from the cave collapse, press enter, and then it sends you back to cave collapse.
Okay, question. Supposing you want to play again, is there a random scenario, is there a random number that determines once you start at the beginning what the next thing is? Or supposing someone had memorized all the steps that they did in order to win. If you play again and you do the exact same steps, will you encounter the same scenarios at the same time and win at the same place?
Yeah, you'll win again. Yeah.
Okay.
So it takes you. It's the same steps every time. It'll take you through the same thing.
Okay.
But
So
there's
maybe,
multiple ways to win. You won't just find the one way to win because I think 6 or 7 scenarios win and 6 die. And in different points along the way, you might die second round, you might die 5th round, or whatnot.
Right.
So,
okay.
but if you follow the same steps again, yeah, you'll live again or you'll die again. You'll get the same results.
Okay, so maybe for just for future iterations of this program, you may want to consider using a random number to determine, what object they encounter. When they start the game, what are the objects they see, or whether or not the cave collapses.
Yeah.
Whether or not they have that blanket for comfort, for warmth, a warm blanket. Some of those things you may want to control with a function that will return those things based on a value that a random number generator creates.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, let's pause it right here. Very good, Danny.
How do I do that?
Alt-P.
Alt